I would like to invite Rohit with AI Technologies and Systems to start the presentation and Q&A.
Hi, I'm Rohit, founder of AITS. We are at a mission to bring AI to every edge device in the world to create magical gadgets.
So what are IoT and edge devices? They are typically a microcontroller like the one you see in my hand or the one inside this thermostat. They are low energy, low latency, low power, and they're everywhere. And they are very inexpensive, typically under $10.
There are over 300 billion microcontrollers in the world today that can be converted into smart IoT and edge devices. AI is the new electricity that is disrupting many verticals and markets, with magical applications quietly sneaking into our daily lives. For example, autonomous vehicles that can pick up your groceries, or self-navigating rovers with reduced dependence on Earth control centers for command to get unstuck. Or medical retinopathy that can diagnose high-risk cardiovascular patients just by analyzing eyes orbital radiography. Another simple AI application that can diagnose the health of thousands of integrated assets in space machinery to avoid expensive downtimes.
Take a second to reflect how many microcontrollers are around you. In a typical household, they are in every appliance, including your toaster, your fridge, your TV, your microwave, your DSLR, and even your doorbell.
These large, complex AI models require powerful servers in large data centers. Bringing them to small, tiny devices like microcontrollers has been unthinkable. We are doing exactly that, bringing complex AI models to the world of $10 devices running on battery for months. And by doing that, we are putting power of AI in the hands of a common man. Imagine 70 million mute population world over finding their voice with wearable glove speaker that can convert sign language to spoken words and sentences. Our technology enables that. Or imagine a poor farmer using $50 AI-enabled device to identify problem areas and potential improvements to increase his yield and income. Our technology enables that. Our technology also enables measurement of altitude in nanosatellites using Earth images from a commercial off-the-shelf camera, providing SWAP, meaning size, weight, and power advantages over traditional method. A simple 3-layer convolution neural network running on a 60 MHz CPU with a fraction of 1 watt can provide accuracy of up to 98%. Other applications of AI include detecting seizures a minute before the onset so that the patient can find safety before losing control of her body, and robot-assisted surgery that can save lives by recognizing foreign objects with more precision, flexibility, and control. Our technology brings magical devices like these to life by miniaturizing AI models to run on tiny devices. There are several thousand use cases like this and more that are coming each day, with ML research producing over 100,000 papers every year. Why aren't more people and companies putting AI into miniaturized and mobile gadgets? There are several reasons. Challenging miniaturization of models, poor hardware support, non-existing software infrastructure, deep tech skill set required, and ever-evolving AI models.
Our solution, cAInvas, is designed to address pain points in these steps by automating and simplifying the process.
It lets user capture data straight from the sensors using browser-based applications. It allows cleansing, training, and validation of models using Python notebooks. And once trained, model can be enhanced and developed into an app using C++ notebooks and compiled to an IoT device of user's choice. It also has a facility to flash the model with a push button. Our solution is as simple as connecting devices to a laptop and have cAInvas flash AI model straight to the device. Our platform offers no-code, low-code, and full-code approaches to deploy AI models. These models and applications are brought from open source or developed by a third party. Here is a brief demo of our platform. Once logged in, you can always browse the gallery of precompiled applications. It lets you download and flash straight to your hardware device. No code needed. For customization of application, our platform offers capture, upload, and retraining of the models with minor code changes. Low code approach. And for advanced applications, platform provides complete control of Python and C++ notebooks with full code guiding principle. cAInvas even allows developers to build their own datasets on the platform through uploading files. Developers can create their own datasets for AI applications using sensors from their own devices such as microphone and cameras. cAInvas platform thus provides a comprehensive end-to-end solution enabling developers to do all beginning from the training their AI model to compiling it onto their tiny devices. Our deep tech core technology includes compiler, library, and a platform, and it differentiates us from our competition. We conducted a couple of case studies to find the efficacy of our platform, and we found that usage of our platform saves anywhere from 3 to 6 man-weeks of effort. Our indirect competition includes large companies like Google and ARM and startups alike. None of our competitive landscape has shown holistic approach to the solution to provide the entire solution. We are the first one with a solution to convert a dumb piece of hardware into a smart one. Moreover, our deep tech compiler solution has no match so far. Our complete solution approach with ecosystem support is expected to flood the applications on the platform, creating a win-win situation for everyone from MCU vendors to end consumer. We are early to solve many of these pain points, including AI apps running on devices without internet connectivity. We are early to market with first compiler for MCUs with memory and CPU trade-off. We aggressively optimize for underlying hardware, and we are also adaptable for newer neural networks and hardware accelerators. And we have a complete support. We are ahead of competition, and we mean cost saving. That means short time to market, less resources and cost, and improved productivity. Our compiler, deepC, has support for over 100 layers, whereas the only other alternate option, TF-Lite Micro, has 53 layers to date. We are better on peak RAM consumption compared to the alternate solution, and we are as good or better on CPU time compared to the competition. Moreover, our technology produces smaller code for low power applications with better performance for a given edge device. With this technology, we enable hundreds of verticals and markets. So the question is, how big can you dream with this enablement that will disrupt countless industries and verticals, including smart homes, smart cities, smart infrastructure, and many more? So what's the urgency? There are several technical and socio-economic factors. For example, NLP models have memory footprint small enough to be executed in the edge device itself. And for biometric sensors, privacy is of supreme importance. For example, fingerprint sensor has about 125 points. Once compromised or stolen over the network, are irreplaceable, unlike passwords, and must be processed on the edge device itself. We are working with leaders like ARM and Qualcomm, and we are also piloting with MCU vendors and MCU leaders. Our achievements have been notable so far, ranging from winning competition, publishing papers, getting selected in accelerators, and so on. Our products can bring huge body of AI research and applications to small, wearable, mountable, and remote devices running on battery. Our technology has a broad value base in countless markets and verticals. US TAM for our products is about 9 billion. Business model is B2B and B2C with subscription based on time-based licensing model. And this is our team. I have worked on graph products like these many times in design automation in companies including TI, ANSYS, Apache, Synopsys, and cAInvas. And in the last company I started, we brought application of ML to EDA working with large companies like NVIDIA. AITS co-founder Praveen Jain and I grew up together and coming together again to take over the AIoT world. Praveen is a graduate of UIUC with over 20 years working in Intel and AMD to bring multiple ML products to market. We have a skilled set of developers and a stellar set of advisors and mentors including Marion Smith and Dave Lambert. We have convertible note and working with RS Capital to raise our next funding round. We are seeking guidance and connections to widen adoption of AI into NASA technologies with our product.
AI is already running on the edge. NASA does or will require low-power AI models in the bulk in future on the edge devices.
NASA has a need for the products and the technology we are developing. We are looking for connections, guidance, and early adopters within NASA and beyond. Thank you. And now I'm open to questions.
Thank you so much. Let's open up questions. Harry?
Oh, very nice. Can you say something about who your competitors are again? A little bit.
Yeah, so our competitors are large companies, including Google and ARM. But the differentiation we bring to the problem is a holistic approach of bringing large AI models from end to end. For example, Google is solving a runtime problem. They are offering a runtime library. ARM is supplying the library for these layers. And it is still up to the end user to stitch these things together in 8 different complex steps. Now, we are taking this entire approach from ground up with the library, compiler, framework, and the platform. And with that, we enable somebody who does not have time or skills to code just by connecting a microcontroller like this and make it smart. And so that's the holistic approach which no other company has the competition of.
And so what is your first product? Is there an area that you're going after?
Right, so the first product we have is a compiler and the library, and our long-term strategic view is to go after these MCU vendors with customer base of 6 digits. Typically, if you see these vendors are generally, the 95% of the market is split between 50 MCU vendors. And each one of them, the top 10 have customers ranging in the digits of several hundred thousands. So we are going after the strategic partnership with these MCU vendors with our time-based licensing of compiler and library, and that integrate that into their SDK, which in turn they will offer to their users. And once users become habitual of using our product, that will bring them to our platform. So our first product is compiler and library, and our platform is for the end consumer, which is for 25 million developers on planet Earth.
Thank you.
All right,
Can you talk a bit about your IP holdings or patents and what the neighboring competition is in this area?
Right, so we are the only company working on the compiler and a library for low power domain. We have over 10 techniques that are ready to be filed today. We are waiting for funding. And let me repeat again, we are working in the low power domain. The software we produce is low power, low code, works in a resource constrained devices. Now, the closest competition we have is Google, which is we are ahead of that at the moment from them. And again, they are not focusing on low power. We take a holistic approach of combining the devices, the application, and the board, all 3 together. And when you look at this whole vertical, there are a whole host of engineering algorithms that we have devised that give us that advantage. So in the short run, we will keep the technology advantage, file the patents. In the long run, we hope to build the ecosystem for developers in multi-million user base to create these applications that will flood the market.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, thanks. Great work, great technology. I just wanted to confirm that your compiler and library can currently run on state-of-the-art hardware, or does it need your own proprietary hardware?
No. So we are hardware agnostic. We run on ARM M series, which is typically 70% of the market share. We also run on PowerPC and some of the CISC microcontrollers. We are completely ground up and hardware agnostic. It's a software solution that runs on every microcontroller.
All right, any other questions?
Can you talk a bit about your price point on this and what it looks like for licensing for like projects or organizations?
Sure. So I would skip the number part. Maybe we can take it in the closed session. But our long-term strategy, short-term strategy is to go after MCU vendors, which have several 100,000 users. Once we embed our software with them, which is a short market, there are only 50 or so vendors. The revenue is not huge compared to the larger market, but they enable our larger market. And we get that by embedding our software and get it to the end consumer. Once that floodgate opens after 18 months or so, we would have millions of developers on our platform developing smart applications and adopting AI research in a day or in as little time as a day or two. So to come back to your answer, the short-term focus is MCU vendors, which is a smaller part of the pie, and we are currently focused only in 3 verticals: IIoT, smart home, and smart health. And these 3 verticals are currently growing despite COVID, according to several reports. But eventually, we actually plan to open our platform to the end consumer, which are currently 25 million developers.
Thank you.
Praveen, do you have anything else to add?
I think you covered well, Rohit.
All right, Cheryl?
So the verticals you listed are very, very large. Is there any particular problem, where a certain subsection of them is having a lot of pain and they urgently need your technology that will be your beachhead?
So that would eventually come from our MCU vendors, right? They have this larger purview of over 250,000 customers per MCU vendor. We don't have that visibility. They do. So currently we are working with them 1 vertical at a time. Not there yet to answer your question, but eventually our platform will have that visibility once we have covered multiple of these MCU vendors and have millions of those developers on our platform. We would be the first one to see where the pain point is, which vertical is taking off, and what applications will come in the next month or quarter.
Thank you.
Hey, in your opinion, from what you've seen, maybe just your own ideas or from customers you've talked to, what's the most exciting application of this? What do you think is the most exciting?
Oh, the applications, so they excite me every day. My personal favorite so far is a mute speaker for mute population, which is 70 million worldwide. And the application that we work with partnership with a large company converts the sign gesture. So mute people, they don't speak, they sign to each other. So this is hi, this is how are you. And if a mute person were to come to me or you, we likely don't know the sign language, and we cannot hold a conversation. And so what our technology will provide is an application that can go on a wearable speaker, wearing on the back of your wrist with a speaker. And when they are doing signing, that speaker, with the help of gyroscope and accelerometer, can decode that sign, and with NLP combined, can guess and convert that to sentences and spoken words. Now, with that, we unlock the joyous conversation of 70 million mute population worldwide.
Yeah.
That thing excites me, and there are several applications in the smart health that we are yet to discover. Applications are just a matter of imagination. AI is coming. The minute you start thinking about it, 3 to 6 months down the line, you have a research that proves it, and it's another 6 to 18 months where POC and the company gets funded, and you have something that changes the world forever.
Yeah, yeah, great application. Good answer. Thank you.
All right, Sherman.
Yes. So you don't have visibility into the end users in the beginning due to selling your product through the MCU vendor. What is your strategy to get that feedback from that end user so you can refine your product? You know, early on in product development process, that refinement and rapid refinement of the product is extremely important. So how do you plan on tackling that, considering you said yourself you won't have clear sight to the end user?
So when I said we don't have clear sight, I meant statistically, like we don't see 250,000 users coming to our site and seeing 40,000 of those are focused in IIoT. We don't have that side. But we are still working with end consumers, companies like NanoPrecise in IIoT. How do they use the product? How do they convert that? And how do they reach to their end customer? We are still working on those edge startups. They are not statistically significant by any means, but that doesn't stop us from working with them. There are a bunch of applications that are hosted on our websites, working with some of these vendors and coming from open source models. So we have been working to refine our product, but at the same time, given 25 million developers, you have to have a statistically significant measure as to where the world is going. We don't have that. Our short-term customer, which is our strategic decision, have 200,000 or more customers. They see where things are going based on the requests they are seeing. So we are working with them, convincing them that the software stack we have is better than anybody else in the world. And once it is integrated and given to the end consumer, we will have those end consumer on our platform. And at that time, I would be glad to answer your question. But so this is a strategic decision to go after a smaller market to get to a larger market, because a startup has its means that it needs to live with.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions.
Praveen, you have anything else to add?
I was just gonna add that, Sherman, we have a very preliminary platform where we have about 1,000 developers who are there, but the data or the clarity that you're looking for doesn't come from 1,000 developers, right? Like you need like Rohit was mentioning, a much bigger sample size before we can get direction out of that data.
So we encourage you to log on to tinyml.studio. That's the URL. And explore that platform for yourself. And we've recently launched this a few weeks ago, and getting 1,000 within a matter of weeks, I think, is a sizable number given total number of developers are limited in the world. And we hope to grow that number in coming months.
All right, Paul, you had a question?
Yeah, Rohit, very nice job. Can you please describe for us your strategy about how you're forming relationships with the organizations in all the vertical markets, and then how you're managing to implement that strategy?
Right. So we are in the ecosystems of these different companies, right? So AI is an ecosystem. Edge is evolving. And so there are these companies like NVIDIA, ARM, Microsoft, AWS, all of these coming together, creating place for a company like our size with the technology that can affect their marketplaces as well. So we're working on their ecosystem as well as growing ours. So this is on the partnership side. On the sales side, we are working with MCU vendors to acquire their customers onto our platform, as well as sell them our software, because it does provide low power code that nobody else does. And lastly, again, bring those millions of developers onto our platform to build this entire ecosystem.
All right, Cheryl, you had a question?
Yeah, so like with any question about edge devices, could you talk a little bit more about security and reliability when it comes to, pretty much everything you're doing with processing on these devices?
Right. So security and reliability problems are addressed in the board, and we work with MCU vendors according to the strategy they have. And so far, what we have heard based on talking to top 5 vendors, all of them have consistently said security is a nice thing, but nobody is ready to pay. Again, not our problem. We are in the application layer, and underlying hardware has a security. We use it. If it doesn't, we don't. Not our forte, not our value proposition or differentiation for that matter. It comes from our users and board providers.
But what about your own software stability if, let's say, the edge network is constantly coming on and offline? And I had edge lighting switches one time and it was really terrible.
Right. So we work on disconnected edge. You don't have to be connected on the edge. It's on-device AI, right? Okay. Now, we port just the model part of it. Application building, if it's complex one, is still our customer's responsibility. So I mean, we would help them as and when it comes along, but this is not what we are solving. What we are solving is bringing out these large, complex AI models to miniaturize devices like these, and that's what we are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, AI Technologies and Systems. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to talk to you in the impact tables, get into a little more depth as to where you see the NASA fit on this. So hope to get in touch with you tomorrow.